Let's go quit my disgusting job because my boss showed me his... Well, you know. I'm wearing this pink shirt as a protest because even though most of the people working there are gay, they're super homophobic. And that's the gayest thing that I can think of. I'm not a good gay. I was going to go with my hair untied because, again, they tried to force me to cut my hair off several times. Because it's really disgusting right now. I did it! I quit my job! Doesn't mean that I'm going to starve from now on. Yes! So please subscribe to this channel so I don't starve. Hi humans, Lord Jacob is back, and if you're new to this channel, I'm just a Brazilian guy just trying to survive in this fucked up planet. Hi! So, I not only quit my job because my boss was a creep, but it was a terrible job. I'm going to explain some things here that happened. Not everything because I would need a lawyer. To start, it was a minimum wage job, so you kind of know what to expect. A lot of work for not enough money. And here in Brazil, there is a catch. You don't work getting paid for the hour, you get paid for the month. So there is a limit of hours they can make you work. But not only that, if you work more hours than that, they don't necessarily need to pay you. They can just create an hour bank and your hours are going to be stored there, meaning that you're not going to get paid if you work more. By the way, when I quit, I had like 14 hours. It was a job at a supermarket, and it's a supermarket that there are several of those from this brand in my city. It's local, if you think about it's just, it only exists in my city, but there are like probably 30 of those supermarkets here. The job itself, it was simple. It wasn't much of a work. Most of the people that working were like 20 to 25 years old. Everyone was super young. Which go to the second part, even though the job was easy, and there is a law in Brazil saying that if you're hired to do a job, you can only do this job. If they're making you do other things, they need to pay you more. Here, the thing's kind of different because people find ways to do things. So one thing that happened there is that they only hired people for one specific position. Every other position there are from people that started working there. So basically you start at the pit and you climb your way up. So what they do there, they kind of force you to do like 10 different jobs at the same time with the excuse of, oh, you need to learn that position because you have a chance to get promoted to it. And it's not exactly like that. In real world, it's like, oh, you have good connections, you're going to go up. You don't have that many good connections, you're going to stay where you are. So this thing of doing several jobs at the same time and not getting paid for it, it was the first thing that bothered me. But the second thing was basically there are several people in charge of different sides, and most of them, at least in my store, hated each other, and we were just the guns that they used to like hurt each other professionally. And it bothered me because at the same time they were using us, we were the ones being blamed for their decisions. So if one of the bosses made a decision because it would affect the other one, we were the ones to blame for it, even though we're just following orders like we should. Another thing that was annoying me at that job was the homophobia. Mainly the managers. I had like 2 managers there. One was fired. So they started kind of bullying me because of my hair. I mentioned it before that I had to remove my piercings and my earrings because they didn't allow it. But at the same time, they did allow it to straight women or to straight men. Only the gays were not allowed to have a personality. Basically, if I wore a ring or an earring or a piercing or anything that would call any kind of attention to a gay, they wouldn't allow it. But at the same time, they can forbid you to do it because of the law. But what the managers started doing, especially with me, was bullying me until I give up those things. About the piercing and the earring, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to take it off because it's so annoying. They kind of bully me all the time about it. I'm just going to remove it because it's just an earring, who cares? I need to stay at this job at least until the end of the year, and that was my plan. I needed to stay there while I was looking for other jobs to the end of the year. And then I kind of fixed some problems I was having, and I was like, oh, I can actually leave in June. So I just need to handle it for like more 6 months and everything is going to be okay. I'm going to just quit. And throughout this whole time, I was having several problems that I'm not going to mention here because I don't have a lawyer. But one of the simple ones was that I was supposed to be promoted on my first month there because, again, I'm a hard worker. I see a work that needs to be done. I just do it. I do it fast and I do it the best way I can. But the manager that we had at that store wouldn't allow me to get promoted. One of the bosses there, the people working different sites, tried to promote me. And the manager didn't allow it because if I got promoted, I wouldn't be at the bid. So they couldn't force me to do all different kind of works that I used to do. By the way, I was the last person to leave the store every day. Even my bosses were going home before me. Basically, I was doing all their jobs, including the managers, and I was the one closing the store, even though I was in the hierarchy, I was in the bottom of it. I was the one getting paid less, but doing the job of the manager. And when this first manager was fired, and the second one came, I could get promoted. Actually, it was offered to me several positions, the same amount of money. And I could choose, and I kind of choose the one that it wasn't the one that I wanted the most, but it was one that in June, if I quit, I wouldn't feel bad for just leaving that position after getting like a few months earlier. Even though I feel bad for quitting. I don't know, I feel like, oh, people there need my help. I know I'm stupid, I'm annoying. But at the same time, the moment that I chose that position, one of the bosses there that I had a problem in the past because he doesn't understand limits, and I had a problem with him in the past, suddenly became my direct boss, meaning that I was going to have to work with him every day, and I needed to hold my anger towards his not good behavior. Let's just say that because I don't have a lawyer. The thing is, the moment he became my boss and he saw that I worked well, he started talking with me more, which is a bad thing because he's disgusting. And he went from just being annoying and overstepping boundaries to sexually harassment. By the way, he started slowly. I mean, he started talking like we were friends. And I was like, I just want to do my work and just go back home because I need to sleep. To flirting. And then he started kind of flirting in a super weird way. And I was like, all the time, you're my boss now, so I can't scream at your face again. Let me just do my job. We going to work later. Until the day that he got my number somehow, probably in the files there. And I never answered. He started like texting me, but basically just trying to start a conversation, not sending like real message, just like being, hey, and I never answered those messages. I don't have time for it. And he went straight from this and kind of flirty at work to sexual harassment when he started talking about his sexual life with me. And I was like, I don't want to listen to that. I literally said to his face, I need to work. I don't want to listen to you about your sexual life. It's none of my business. I literally said that. But he didn't take it as an answer, and I started realizing that every time he got a new employee, he started doing the same thing that he was doing with me. Kind of like, oh, I have power over you now, so I can say whatever shit I want, and you have to take it, and you have to accept it and smile. And it actually worked with some people. I just found out after I quit. Some people told me terrible, creepy stories involving him. And at the same time, yes, they talked with the manager, they talked with the HR. They don't care. So, and it got to a point that we were at work. I was asking about my shifts, my schedule for this month, March, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to show it to you." And he grabbed his phone down so the camera couldn't see it, and he started showing me pictures of his probably never washed genitals. And at that moment, I was like, I don't need to listen to this. I don't need to see it. Bye. I'm going to do my work, and I'm going to just ignore it. But at the same time, it got so much into my head that I was like, no, I don't need to deal with it. Because help was offered me several times. I could take the help, I could just quit the job. But deep inside, you know that little voice in your head, they're like, oh, you don't deserve help. You deserve to suffer. That voice in my head was like, no, I can't quit. I have to deal with it. I can't accept anyone's help, because if I quit, I'm going to be a loser. If I quit, I'm not going to be a strong person that can handle things. But when that happened, it was my limit, and I was like, I'm going to quit. But before that, I started feeling guilty because, oh, this another employee is going on vacation and now I'm going to quit. So there will be almost no one to work at this place. I started feeling guilty, so I tried to talk with the manager to try to solve this problem, or at least find a way so I wouldn't work with him. My dream was for him to get fired. It wouldn't happen. By the way, here in Brazil, we are very kindly, we are very friendly, and sometimes when people does this kind of harassment, it's hard to perceive because people can just say, oh, they're just being friendly, they were making jokes and you couldn't understand. This happened with me, by the way. And when I talk with the manager, and I need to add the fact that the manager didn't like me, because when she got there, I was solving everybody's problems, and I was doing all the work. So when people had problems, instead of asking her, they would ask me for help, and she kind of felt annoyed by it. I was trying to fight for her position, even though I just wanted to leave that place. So when I said everything that happened, when I explained to her everything that happened and how uncomfortable I was feeling, she basically looked at me and said, oh, you're saying this because you want him to get fired so you can get his position. And I was like, no, I want to leave this place. I just want you to fix his behavior. Actually, I wanted to fire him. And she was like, oh, you can't prove anything because you don't have it shown in the cameras because I tried. You can prove it, and it's clearly you want his position. And I just looked at her and said, okay, then I quit. Bye, I'm out. Just deal with your own problems because I won't be here tomorrow to fix it. And in the next day, I came back because it was the last day of the month. And if I didn't go to work, I would have to pay them. I mean, we have several work laws. There are good in a way and terrible in the others. And in that day, I tried to talk with the HR, and she was like, yeah, it's your word against his, and he has been working here for I don't know how many years, and you just started here like 6 months ago. And I was like, yes, but I'm not the first person who comes to you to complain about his behavior. And she was like, yeah, but I can't do anything. And that's how I quit my job. That's why I quit my job. I'm still in the process of quitting because the bureaucracy here is really high, and I just took my uniform and everything to deliver to them today. I still have to go back there tomorrow to sign some papers, and I'm happy they didn't force me to stay working there because, again, we have several laws here, and if I just quit my job, they could force me to work there for 1 more month. If I didn't do it, they could just make me pay basically a month's salary to them. By the way, I lost some money because I quit. Here, every month, before they pay your monthly salary, some part of it is taken to a government account in your name, and you can only access to that if the employer fire you. If you quit your job, you don't have access to that money. I mean, you can take some part of it in your birthday. So that's why I quit my terrible job, and I wasn't getting paid enough. By the way, it's minimum wage, and it's Brazilian minimum wage, which sucks 10 times more. So that was this video. Please subscribe to this channel. I'm back. This is my comeback to this channel. So please subscribe to the channel. Stay safe, and if you have a creepy boss, just kick them. It's easier than screaming. So that was this video. I hope I can see you in the next one. Please subscribe. Love you. Stay safe. Bye.